Hi guys, this is Shannon with Shannon McTighe Photography. I am excited to edit with the Tiny Dancer collection. This collection here has been a labor of love in collaboration with Greater Than Gatsby. I'm so excited for you guys to see everything in this. This photo right here was shot in Ireland this past summer. It was with my 50mm 1.2. It was a stormy day, so it's a little bit underexposed, but I'm going to show you how to fix that. So when you come into here, you have that foundational prep work area again. This area right here, you have it as shot, bright, brighter, or lift darks. And each one is like that. So if you don't shoot underexposed at all, just click the as shot. Or if it's underexposed quite a bit, you can come all the way up to brighter. Or if the blacks are really dark, you can click lift darks. So you just kind of pick which one that makes the most sense for your photo. Each one obviously looks a little bit different, but I'm honestly obsessed with all of these. I feel like they're pretty one click for the most part, and that has been really fun to play with. Before I even do any of these, I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to hit my exposure. Can hit play. And then I'm just going to click flatten and flatten that. I tend to flatten or merge after every action just to make sure that you don't have any errors in between actions. Then I'm going to come back up here and I think I'm going to play, I really like Piano Man. Just depends on the photo. I'm also obsessed with this one and this one, all of them. But I think for this one in particular, I'm going to play brighter because it is a pretty dark image and hit play. And I absolutely love what it did to it. It's too bright for my liking, but the colors are just right. So I'm going to lower my opacity down. I think like 65-70% is perfect. So this is before and this is after. And I will flatten that. And then I'm going to come down here to the adaptive brushwork. Again, if you're staying in Lightroom first and then bringing it over, you may not need this. If you've already started in Lightroom, you can skip this. But if you haven't started in Lightroom, this is a great place to start for your subjects, your background, your skies. I'm going to probably stay away from the background because I like the background the way it is. I don't need it any brighter. It was a moody day to begin with, so I'm not looking to make it too bright. Whereas I am planning to brighten my subjects. Illuminate has a little more color and a little more brightness. I'm going to do just Illuminate and hit play. And it'll probably be too bright, but I'm going to lower the opacity of it. So that looks really good. I think I'm going to lower it though to like, might do like 40%. Yeah, like that. And then I'm going to flatten that. And then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to recover the sky, partially because there are some clouds, but I also want to show you what to do when you have, like, for example, this photo, I have the lighthouse and the mountains. What to do if you recover the sky and you have trees or some kind of obstacle in your way when you're recovering the sky, how to fix it. So I'm going to hit play. And perfect. It definitely brought the sky back for me. But you can see that it made like this demarcated line between the sky and the mountains and the sky and the lighthouse, which I don't want. So there's two ways that you can fix it. You can either get a white brush and paint it on the lighthouse and the mountains to kind of feather it down. Or for me in this case, I'm just going to get a black brush, bring my opacity down. I'll do like 45 to 50%. A little bit of a smaller brush, and then I'm just going to erase it around those demarcated lines so it's not so obvious, and honestly it looks like it's feathered down from the sky. And then I'll get a bigger brush and tap around the lighthouse just like right there. So basically I'm feathering it, and then it doesn't look so cut paste. Perfect. Then I'm going to come over here to flatten this section and hit play. And then the next thing I've noticed is right away my sky is a little purple, which I don't want. It was definitely not purple. So under the section that says color cast correctors, I'm going to go to the one that says prohibit the purples and hit play. At 100% opacity, a little bit smaller brush. Too small. I'm going to erase my sky. Pull all those purples out. And then I will merge it or flatten it. And then I think I'm also going to come over to relinquish the reds, and I'll go over the sky a little bit and the pants on the boy and his dad a little bit. So I'll hit play. I'm going to go at 100% because there's still a little, it's pulling a little bit of red in the sky. And then drop my size of a brush, and I'm going to go over the pant leg here. That way it brings it back to brown. I'm going to even go over the rocks a tiny bit. Just those red spots. And then I'm going to lower the opacity and just tap the faces where I see they're turning a little red. The shirt. There. Perfect. So any color casting I saw going on, I just got rid of it in the photo. And then I am going to either merge or flatten. Awesome. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to dodge and burn. My particular way of dodging and burning is where you burn the whole image and then you dodge by erasing. It's just my favorite way to do it. I'm going to hit play and continue. So basically the way I dodge and burn, the important thing about it is to just kind of pay attention to where your highlights are, where you want your viewer's eyes to go, where's your subject, how do you want to shape light. So you just start erasing. I usually start with highlights first and where I want my viewer's eyes to go. You'll want black brush. You'll want to make sure your brush is at 0% hardness or you're going to get this perfect circle, which doesn't look right. So make sure you're at 0% hardness. And then I usually start between 40 and 50. And I'll start erasing. If I erase the face, I always erase the neck and chest. And every time you go over it, if you go over it like a second time in the same spot, you pull another 40% off. So I'm just following all my highlights and where I want my viewer's eyes to go, which is their connection. And then the creases of the blanket, the dress, pant legs, blanket here. When I dodge and burn, I tend to try not to touch men's hair because I'm going to lower the opacity anyways in a minute. And sometimes that can make it look like it's thinning. So I try not to erase it on the hair. All right. And then I'm going to go over the highlights and the rocks to make the rocks pop. Then I think I'll get a bigger brush. The little bit of light there is coming from the left side of the screen. So I'm just going to go over the left side of the lighthouse. And then one more time, bigger brush, a little bigger. I'm going to tap the middle of them and just go over the grass down here because it's so dark. I don't need it that dark. And to me, that looks really good. So you can see all the brushwork to the right over here. And I'm going to take my opacity and drop it to 0. The brushwork is still there, and I'm just going to slowly pull this up to where I like it. I tend to like it strong. I think like 65 to 70% is good. So this is before, and this is after. Then I will merge it or flatten it. After I do that, let's come down here. And I'm going to go to the color pop area. Some of these are stronger than others, and they really help just give a little more of a color tone to your photo. My personal favorite one is a Music Man. So I'm going to hit play. It gives a little bit of just this warm, hazy light. And so this is before, and this is after. I don't need it at 100%, but I do like it pretty strong. So I think like 65 sounds good to me. So that's before, and that's after. Merge that. And then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to come down here. Don't be scared to like play a bunch of these, by the way, on top of each other. You could do like one at 20%, one at 10%, like play around with it. I rarely ever do any of them at 100%. Sometimes they look good at 100%. It's just most of the time I like to play and stack. So I'm going to stack this one in my hand at about 30%. And what I like is it's like a teeny bit of magenta. I do not want it in the sky, but I do want it on them and the back, like on the rocks and the grass. So I'm going to get 100% opacity and erase it off the background of them, the sky. There we go. I'm going to merge that. I'll keep coming down. This section right here, I don't necessarily need it in this photo, but I am pretty obsessed with this section. This is for anybody that has trouble with green grass. It helps with the grass that are color tone yellow or mint or just whatever you're looking for. You can do anything from kill the green all the way to make it like a deep pine. I am pretty obsessed with this section. And then our artistic color grading, these are different ones that will basically color grade the photo for you. Again, play around, feel free to stack them. I think on this one, well, let's see, I'm going to do Crocodile Rock and hit play. And so obviously when I play this, you probably look at it and go, ooh, yuck, that does not look good. And it's just because it's really strong, but I actually love what it's doing to the rocks and to them. It's just a bit strong. I'm going to pull it down and see. I think like 20% is good. All right there. So if I turn it off and on, it's subtle, but you can see what it's done to the rocks and your subject and even your grass. It made everything stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to merge that. Then let's see. I'm going to come down a little more to the basic adjustment area, and I'm going to do a minor fault, which is just lowering the light a little bit, except I don't want it everywhere. So I'm on a Mac, so it's Command I. And I'm going to get a white brush at 100%, and I'm just going to paint it over the sky. And if you don't want it like on the trees in your background, mountains, or in this case, the lighthouse, just erase it back off of it. But that just trying to give a little more moody, like bring the moodiness of the sky out a little more. And then I will merge that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the finishing effects. I am so obsessed with this area. Soft feather boa is amazing, which I'll use here in a moment. And then these focus ones, each one does a little something different, so play around with them. For this image though, I think I'm going to do the focus light and hit play. And I love that. I just don't need it at 100% again, so I'm going to lower it to like 40. Perfect. And I will merge that. And then I'm going to come back up here to the one I was just saying, the soft feather boa. I'm going to do the first one and hit play. And this is going to give you the most creamy, colorful effect to your photo. Like, I love this. So if I turn this off and back on, you can really see the creaminess and the colorfulness in the photo. The only thing is I don't really want it on my subject too much, or the rocks. I do want those to be a little bit sharper, but I want it everywhere else. So I'm going to get a black brush. I'm just going to get like 50% opacity. And I'm going to go over 50% and just take it off my subject and rocks. So then if I turn the eye on and off, it's not as much on them. Oh, I love it. And then I'll flatten that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the mats. If I'm going to run a mat, it's usually towards the end of the session, the end of the editing. And each one, it's almost like it gets deeper and deeper as you go down. So somber mat's the one I'm going to play, and it's going to be way too dark, but I want this darkness in the blacks of the photo. I just don't need it that strong again, so I'm going to lower it. And I think I'll do like 20%, because if you look at the grass especially, you can see, actually I'll pull it down a tiny bit more, but you can see all the matte in there. I'm going to erase a little bit, like 50% off my rocks and my subject. Before, after. It's very subtle, but I mean, I can see the difference, but it's very subtle. And then I'm going to flat or merge. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to give them a little bit more oomph to the photo. So this back up to the basic adjustments. You can do a shadow pop, which is going to deepen all your shadows. If you have a really like bright day, or if they're even like a bit soft of an image, this is really great. Highlight pop is going to make your highlights stand out dramatically, and then combo pop will do both. So it just depends on the image which one I want to use for this. But I'm going to use the highlight pop for this because everything's a bit on the dark side anyways, and hit play. And I love it. I just don't want it on my sky as much. So at 50%, I'll just erase it off my sky. That way it's not too bright. There we go. So this is before, and this is after. And I will merge or flatten. And then this is just me like wanting to make sure that when they print this, you know, everything's like nice and sharp, and but also soft where it needs to be. So I'm gonna come up here, go to crisp details and hit play. Get a small brush. I am only gonna do this at like 40%, and it's only gonna be on the actual like details of their face or any details I don't want to lose. So him holding the airplane, her hands, the shoes, even the blanket and her hair a tiny bit. Maybe his glasses and hat. So then it's just like, oh, and maybe a little bit in the rocks, just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to merge that. And I'm going to come back down here, and I'm going to play the noise reduction and hit play. But again, I'm going to erase it off my details again. This is just a way to get a little more softness. Again, if you don't want softness, don't play it, but a little more. And then I'm going to erase it though off my subject some, especially like their details. I don't want it too soft. And then I will flatten that. And then if I really want to get picky, I'll come back up here, because probably one of the actions I was playing earlier tinted it purple up here again. So I might play the prohibit the purples. A big brush. 100%. Oop, too big. I'll just erase it off of there. And then flatten it. And since I don't want the purple in the sky, but I wouldn't mind it having a little bit of blue, I'm going to actually come up here, and I'm going to do like cooler +3 and hit play. And then I'm going to do Command I and invert it. And let's just we'll go soft, like 40%. I'm just going to go over the sky that's kind of that deep color there. And I might even tap right here, erase it a little bit there. So I like that. It just made it a little more blue. I didn't really want it like brown. So yeah, I like that quite a bit. I think I'll even tap this right here just to cool down the building back to white. And then I will merge that. And then you can either be done at this point and call it good, or if you want like a little more of a film effect, just a little bit to it, you could come back down here. And this glittered film grain, I love them. Each one has like, is a little bit different to each other, but my favorite one is the hazy one, because the hazy literally also makes it a little bit hazy as well as having some grain. So I'm going to hit play and hit continue. So if I put grain in my photo, you can see just what I meant by like makes it a little hazier and a little more film-like, but I don't always want it that strong on my subjects again. So I'm just going to, 40% is good. I'll just make a little bigger and kind of brush over them a little, and then come over here. And I also don't like it very strong. That's just me personally, like 55%. And then I can merge that, and I would call that good. And then I'll come back up here so you can see the before and after. And so this is before, and this is after. Before, after. Thank you guys so much for having me here, and I really hope you love these. If you want any more information on the Tiny Dancer collection, please go to www.greaterthangatsby.com. Thank you.